The three core steps are starting with mindfulness. And if we want to expand that out, it's notice and name the emotions and then the urges that are sitting at the beginning there, with curiosity, investigating it. And then the second part is connecting with values and goals and self-compassionate thoughts that would help you, would support you through that, give you an alternative, give you a reason to resist the urge. It kind of gives you motivation and fuel to help you with that. And then the final step is taking action aligned with those goals and doing something that's supportive that's an alternative action to that habit. So really having some things in mind that you would want to do instead of this habit, things that you value, things that bring meaning and enjoyment and purpose to your life, that you can do instead of this difficult habit. And I'll just say a couple more things around it, and then we'll see if it's brought anything up for you guys. We won't change behaviors overnight. Things that have been with us for a while, it's going to take time. Food as an example, because it's so common. I think last time I checked, it was something like 70% of the world are now overweight. So we know that this is something that more people struggle with than don't struggle with. And even the people who aren't showing food struggles that way, might have struggles in other ways. We might excessively control, we might boom and bust, we might eat a lot and then eat nothing. A lot of people have that pattern. So a lot of humans struggle with food. So I'll just use that as an example because it's handy for other behaviors. We won't change it overnight, and we may always be working with this and trying to improve it and then getting a bit better and then slipping, and hopefully doing that with kindness. But we can all change these habits, and there's some things we can do to help support this. So we can do that urge surfing process even when we slip. So even when you do slip at the end of it, if you've delayed the habit for a while, that helps. So if you've surfed it for a little while and you still give in to it, the next time you surf it, it'll be even easier. So it kind of builds on top of itself. And so you want to try and delay the urge, to begin with. And when you're doing that, do it mindfully. And then when you do slip, to slip mindfully. Be really aware of when you eat the chocolate. If you're avoiding people, that other example, if you're kind of isolating, be really mindful when you decide not to call someone and you isolate yourself. So whatever the slip is, do it really mindfully and then recommit. No one changes anything overnight. Everyone, within the first 30 days, the average number of slips is 6 slips, changing any behavior. So we're always going to slip. The problem is that we often go slip, give up, rather than slip, recommit. So the key is to keep recommitting. And the more we do that with kindness, actually we're more likely to establish a new behavior. If we slip and then we're really hard on ourselves, sometimes that critic will make us give it another go, but normally it stresses us more, it makes us more likely to fall into the bad habit, it creates a whole load of other emotions we're working with. So there's the kind of slip and recommit concept. Writing things down, making commitments, so telling other people or writing it down yourself, setting goals. You're 33% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down. So that's worth doing. Using technology to help us here, so setting reminder to practice the new habit, the alternative, reminders to do urge surfing, self-compassion, using technologies to help us. Actually, some of the bad habits may be around technology. We might want to learn to surf the urge to check our phone, and things like that. And so to delay, to choose when we're going to engage with technology and put our phone away until then, or resist it. And then when we do engage with it, to do it mindfully. So there's a double-edged sword with technology. It can really help us with these types of practices. It can help us remember, help us overcome autopilot, but it also can be quite destructive to mindfulness and self-compassion, obviously, as well. What else would I say? Set a daily intention first thing. Remind yourself of this first thing. What's the habit you're working on? What are you practicing? What are you trying to shift? Remind yourself to come back with compassion when you do slip. Journaling, if we write about those values and goals and we come back to them daily, that will reinforce it. So with that in mind, love if everyone, I mean, if you don't have your phone to hand, you can do it after the workshop. But if you have your phone, actually to set a couple of reminders now. So one of them is to schedule in a kind action or a connection with other people. That's the first one. So something you're going to do maybe this weekend or maybe in the next week to come. You're going to connect with someone. You're going to do something kind for someone. It's going to be about connection. And so you could put that in your phone now, or maybe you set that definitely do it directly after the workshop, because otherwise the longer we leave it, the less likely we are to do it. And then the other is a reminder for you to, one, come back to all this material. So you might set it for 2 weeks time and say, okay, in that two weeks time, I'm going to spend half an hour or longer if you like. I'm just going to go back over what I wrote down, what I took from the workshop, what seemed important, the handouts, the stuff we're going to provide you with, all of that. Come back to that and to give it some time and just to set a reminder around that. And you know, the second part is actually I'm going to make it 3. So there's three alarms. So that's the second alarm, is come back to this material in the next 2 weeks to keep this habit going. And then the third alarm is something kind for you. So actually an activity. So we've got an activity with other people, we've got an activity for ourselves, and then we've got coming back to this material to just reconnect with it and think about how you're going to use it. Is that clear what those alarms are? And if we have them in our phone, we block out time, we schedule time, we've made a commitment, we're way more likely to do it. And so we really want you to take all this stuff forward and to really grow this habit, build it, keep developing it. But it is really tough. You know, the likelihood is that we'll all lose contact with self-compassion in the next 30 days. And we might forget about this for a few days, but we want to recommit to self-compassion. And I don't know about you, Bernie, but I found in the beginning of my practice of self-compassion, I'd have a few good weeks and then I would forget about it, you know, and I would kind of lose it. And I'd keep my mindfulness going, but I just would stop doing as much self-compassion or, you know, living it day to day as much. And but then over time that shifted. And then, you know, I'll do something, even just a short practice every day, like at least something from self-compassion. And it will come to me, like quick to come back to it. And also, you know, I love the example of you break, you know, a plate or you break some eggs. What does your mind do? You know, does it go, you're a terrible person? Or does it go, those eggs are terrible? Or does it come in and go, okay, everyone breaks eggs, you know, let's clean this up and let's get back to making my cake or my omelets. And you know, over time, I think we do see that shift. And it might be that the critic is always there as well, but does self-compassion come in very quickly after it, you know, to support you? So, you know, I work with a lot of people who've struggled with habits for decades and longer. And when you begin doing this, your brain's going to say you'll never change it. But this is another one we want to notice that, acknowledge that, unhook from that, and then give it a try and see what happens. Maybe we can change it this time.